Express from Pilates guy, and today I'm going to talk to you about one of the most overlooked muscles of the core, which is the pelvic floor. I've actually been asked this really often, and to some it's obvious, but to others not so much, but men have pelvic floors too. It's much more common for this to be talked about with women, with having babies and sort of pelvic health, but it doesn't really get talked about with men. So I do get asked often, oh, you talk about the pelvic floor, but as a man, you don't have a pelvic floor, do you? Yes, we do. And it is really, really important to strengthen this muscle. I often say if you don't have a strong pelvic floor, you don't have a strong core. It does not matter what your abdominals look like. You could do 1 million sit-ups a day. You don't have a strong core unless the deep core unit is strong. So your pelvic floor has a lot of useful functions. Some of them are obvious, like being able to control when you go to the toilet. Another useful function is your pelvic floor keeps your insides in, which I'd say is pretty useful. Obviously, it's things like bladder control, but also really important for sexual function as well. So for men and women, not just men, it is a really important muscle for sexual function and even in some studies, performance. And other studies have shown this can even help with certain disorders like erectile dysfunction and things like that. One of the unknown functions of the pelvic floor is that it actually helps to stabilize your spine and represents true core strength, as it's the base of the deep core unit, which is like a cylinder that stabilizes your spine. So you've got the diaphragm at the top, you've got the pelvic floor at the bottom, you've got the transversus abdominis around the middle. And if any part of that isn't working correctly, then you don't have a strong core. And your spine is probably a little bit mobile in situations where you might not want it to be, like if you're lifting something heavy or doing squats or something like that in the gym. I, for example, couldn't squat or deadlift or anything for years and years and years due to really, really bad back pain. And although I have a condition with my back, I can squat reasonably heavy, 140 odd kilos, about 22 stone for good repetitions, based primarily on the fact that my core is so much stronger and I can activate those deep core muscles to alleviate pressure from my spine, help me keep myself in my good neutral spinal alignment that's crucial when you're lifting heavy stuff or doing squats and deadlifts and things like that. So the pelvic floor has been a huge part of that core strength, which now enables me to do things I couldn't do before. So first off, part of exercising the pelvic floor, we need to identify the pelvic floor and engage the right muscles. So right now, all I want you to do is imagine you need to pee really, really badly. So you start to squeeze those muscles that are going to stop you from peeing. If you struggle to do this, next time you actually go for a pee, try and stop yourself mid-flow. Those are the muscles that we're talking about for part of the pelvic floor. The other part of the pelvic floor towards the back is when you need to either guff or you need to go for a number 2. So front and back. You could try the same approach. If you struggle to engage this without actually needing to go, next time you need to go, just try and hold on a little bit, and you are using those muscles. So to deliberately engage the whole pelvic floor, we need to imagine we need toilet front and back, and we start to squeeze those muscles. We start to pull all those muscles in towards the middle. So try and think about pulling toward the middle, and then you want to think about lifting those muscles upwards, almost like a zip, pulling those muscles upwards. Okay, so that is how we engage the pelvic floor. So a good example of exercises you can do to strengthen the pelvic floor, number 1 is actually just to apply it to real life. So when you're doing squats or deadlifts in the gym, if that's your thing, or if you're doing other high intensity exercise, or if you're just lifting stuff at home and maybe you've got back problems and you're a bit worried about it, so you want to engage your deep core muscles, then it would be a good time to practice using your pelvic floor because it's going to help stabilize your spine. But also using your whole core. I've got another video on that which you can probably see there now, which you could go and have a look at, which is about the whole core. We are really focused on the pelvic floor, so using it in everyday life or in your sport or in your training is going to help you to build up that strength and that everyday usage, as well as doing specific exercise. So specific exercises would be to bring in that pelvic engagement, so pulling everything towards the middle, engaging sort of through the passages and pulling everything towards the middle, and then think about lifting. Lift for a 5-second hold and then just slowly relax that away. And then lift for a 5-second hold and slowly relax that away. And do that 10 times. So you're doing 3 sets of 10 holds of 5 seconds, and I will detail this in the notes. That's the starting point. You could do that once a day, twice a day, even 3 times a day. The other, as you build up, you just want to increase those holds. So it might be then after a few weeks of doing that, you go up to 3 sets of 10 10-second holds. Only go up to 20-second holds. You don't need to go beyond that. So 3 sets of 10 20-second holds, 1, 2 or 3 times a day, and that's probably the maximum you want to do of focused pelvic engagement exercises. But the good thing about them is you can do them anywhere at any time. So if you're driving, sat at work, standing in a queue, you can use those muscles, you can do those exercises, so you can do them anywhere. It just might be funny if someone says you've got a bit of a funny look on your face, what are you doing? And you're like, oh yeah, I'm just working out my pelvic floor. It'd be quite funny. But you can do that, you can do it anywhere. You don't need any equipment, you don't need to get changed into any sports equipment, you don't need to sit in any particular way. You just need to really try and work on those muscles. And the one more thing I will say, if you're trying to work and specifically exercise the pelvic floor, is try to isolate it to just the pelvic floor. Try not to squeeze your glutes, try not to squeeze your abdominals or anything else. Try and keep everything else relaxed when you work in the pelvic floor specifically. When you are doing other work in the gym or squats or whatever it is, then obviously use all of your core muscles. But when you are just working on the pelvic floor, isolate to just the pelvic floor. I really hope that's helpful, highlighting some of the benefits of a strong pelvic floor, the importance of a strong pelvic floor, how that's important for men as well as women. There's a lot less awareness for men than there is women with pelvic floor health. If you've got any questions, please feel free to give me a shout. You can contact me info@pilatesguide.co.uk, or you can contact me through the website, so it's www.pilatesguide.co.uk. And whilst you're over at the website, you could also check out my on-demand platform. So in Pilates, we use the pelvic floor all the time as a part of our core work. So all the way through a Pilates session, we will talk about the pelvic floor engagement as well. So my on-demand system has got loads of full Pilates sessions on there. Some of it's sport specific, some of it's for beginners, some of it's full sort of mixed ability sessions. And you can access a free trial of 7 days at the moment over on that on-demand page. So go and check that out on the website. Get in touch with me if you've got any questions. Hope it was useful, and speak to you again soon.